It's Casimir Engine Show podcast, episode 38, I think. Crikey, catching up with me age, nearly. Hey, it's another special this week's part 2.
You're listening to the Casimir.
That is me.
Hasn't that been done to death? Isn't that so 90s?
You think so?
Casimir engine.
It's the Casimir engine. It's not KKK.
We've got a bit of cows. They're from their America place. And then we've got part 2 of my chat with White Peak Distillery and Max. That's the awesome cows. You can grab a load of details about them on Twitter.
You're listening to the Casimir Engine Show, and it's great.
Cheers, Polly. Hey, let's have another chat with Max. It's part 2.
Where have we got to?
Yeah, well, we were talking about, where do you get the kit from? You
go to that was it. Yeah.
So I didn't know where to start. I'm not from a drinks and spirits background, so you just pick up the phone, you start speaking to people, and I also went to see a couple of the distilleries that had recently been built. So there's now been 16 distillery licenses issued in England. Mm-hmm. Not all of those distilleries are up and running yet, but in 2014, 2 in particular were started. One in the Cotswolds, which is where Sean used to work, mm-hmm. and one in the Lake District called the Lakes Distillery. Mm-hmm. So I went to visit both, and in speaking to the distillery manager at the Lakes Distillery, he said to me, I was asking him about whether he knew any consultants that could help put together all the engineering package. And he said, well, there are a lot out there. He said most of them are applying their trade up in Scotland because that's mm-hmm. where the market is. Mm-hmm. But he said, we had an element of our distillery fabricated and installed by a firm in Derbyshire. called Musk Engineering.
This is just too. This is
so my eyes lit up. So he said, "You want to go and speak to those guys?" So Musk Engineering are based in Swadlincote.
Yeah.
The reason they're there, principally, certainly from a sort of food and drink perspective, is they've done an enormous amount of work over many years with breweries.
Yeah, and Burton. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they do, the front part of the process of distilling whiskey is called mashing.
Yeah.
And it's generally the kit in the area is referred to as the mash house. So Musk Engineering had designed and installed the mash house at the Lakes Distillery. So I got put back in touch with them, and I thought, well, this is a great starting point because they're only 16 miles down the road. So I went to see them, and at the time, they'd installed the mash house at 3 distilleries, but that's all they'd done is that kind of front end. So it's almost like they built half a car. What I said to them is, well, can you build a whole car? So what we ended up with, over a period of time, but what we ended up with is me contracting them to design, engineer and install a whole distillery. Which was great for me because it meant that I had these competent engineers, and they were absolutely brilliant. But I could see from day one when I met them and understood the kind of work they'd done that we're in that nice position where I wasn't so small as a potential client that I would get put to the bottom of the in tray all the time. But equally, they were big enough to demonstrate to me that they got the credibility and the know-how and the resources to take on my project, which obviously was something I didn't want to make a mistake with that decision. So we used Musk Engineering, and they did the whole package. And from their point of view, I suspect it was also.
And this is the first time that they've built the whole.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the other reasons.
They've been on YouTube then.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why, for them as well, this was hopefully a really interesting project because it was only just up the road, and it enabled them to kind of wrap their arms around a whole distillery install.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is something they can leverage for the future as well in terms of the business.
And I suppose there's more technology now, but is it in essence, is it a distillery from the 1800s, 1700s? I suppose it goes back further than that, I suppose. Is the science behind it exactly the same, and is the kit, does it look the same? Or have they thought, oh no, we need to improve that? I mean, it used to start off with a biplane. I don't know why I've got my arms out, but you start off with a biplane and then you end up with Concorde. Is there an evolution of the?
A lot of the sort of the process and the technology and the equipment is pretty tried and tested.
Yeah.
But there are always tweaks that you can do to anything. So all the equipment we've got in there, in isolation, if you looked at any one thing, you would probably say, well, I've seen something that looks very similar to that in another distillery.
Yeah.
But the way we've combined things is unique. So the install itself is very bespoke. But also some of the equipment is unique to us as well. It's got slight twists on it. So, for example, our copper stills, were made by coppersmiths in Scotland, traditional coppersmiths. And I could have gone to China and got them really cheap.
Yeah.
I could have maybe gone to Italy. I wanted to go to traditional coppersmiths in Scotland.
Yeah. Carbon footprint, all that kind
exactly.
of thing. Yeah.
And also just in terms of quality, these guys have got a track record of making stills that goes back longer than I've been alive. So we had our copper stills made in Scotland, but they were made to a design that Sean and I made. So,
Oh, wow.
So our copper stills, to a casual observer, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I've seen copper stills before at 20 other distilleries." You won't have seen our stills before because they are unique in terms of the combination of the size, their shape, various different angles that are within them.
So the engineering degree paid off.
Absolutely,
didn't
yeah.
it, eh?
And that's one of the things that influences the style of whiskey we're making is the shape of the still.
Okay.
And I can bore you with science on that, but it is one of the things that contributes to the flavour. So so we use a local engineering firm. The other beauty about using Musk, which I absolutely love, is that not only are the engineering firm in terms of managing an engineering project, they've also got an enormous fabrication plant. So all of our stainless steel vessels in there are made in Derbyshire.
Brilliant. Good for the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Derbyshire's and where we are here down at the Wireworks is really the foundation of the whole business. So having all of this equipment made locally was just a nice addition to all of that. And getting back to why Sean joined me so early is because in those early days when I was sat around the table with the engineers, there was me, there was the engineers, but there was also Sean, who had worked as a distiller. And between those three parties, we were able to come up with a design that in principle was going to be flawless because it got the right combination of minds on it. And actually we've had some really small teething problems, but generally the commission of distillery went really smoothly. Modern technology gives benefits that we had with our distillery that you wouldn't have had 50 years ago. So for example, Musk Engineering, they put together a detailed plan of the distillery of all the pipework. There's hundreds of metres of stainless steel pipework in there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest costs and the biggest time is putting all that in. The big vessels look very impressive, but they're positioned in a single day. The pipework to connect it all together took 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah. But what Musk had to do is do a very detailed computer-aided design drawing of all the pipework. So when the fabrication guys come on site, they know exactly where this pipework's going, and they're not going to get pipe clashes in exactly the wrong place. So because they basically digitalised the distillery, they've now got software where you can go down to their workshop, you can put on virtual reality headsets, which Sean and I did, and then you have a little mouse in your hand, and you can basically walk around the distillery in digital form.
It's amazing, isn't
in
it?
3 dimensions. So we literally, Sean and I were there together, and Sean was able to say, guys, that works from an engineering point of view, but I can tell you that's going to be a pain in the backside for me to be walking past in that position every day for the next decade. Can we move it over there? So we had, so that was one of the benefits of getting Sean on board early. He wasn't distilling for a year or so, but the contribution he was able to make to that process, for me, added a lot of value.
It's black over bills, so I'll wait here for the rain. Will it cleanse my soul or wash away this shame? From the outside I did nothing, I stand here guilty as fuck. You should have scratched away the surface to get to better luck. Ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. She said too much, it's not enough, and she's losing touch. We talk too much about everything and nothing all at once. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da. the strangest fascination for a place you've never been. It's a stranglehold temptation that's weighing down your dreams. If you taught me how to fly, I don't think that this would help. There's only one thing for this, and it's too hard to sell. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. She said too much, it's not enough, and she's losing touch. We talk too much about everything and nothing all at once. I won't fly, and you don't sigh. I don't mind being left behind. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. She said too much, it's not enough, and she's losing touch. We talk too much about everything and nothing all at once. About everything and nothing all at once. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da.
Who created the style? Because it's like it's a bit like a steampunk Frankenstein's lab.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Yeah.
Don't get me
No,
wrong.
yeah, no.
It's not blood or
No,
anything.
no,
but
no, I mean,
it's got that. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
Well-
very beautiful.
Well, I'll take it as a compliment, but on behalf of my wife Claire. So Claire works full time in the business with me.
Yeah.
She's not here today, but she was, well, still is, an interior designer. So the space that we're currently sat in is her design.
Ah, right.
Obviously, what we've tried to do is celebrate the fact that we're in a 100-year-old building that was designed for light engineering, and we've kept that look.
Yeah.
And actually, we've tried to reuse and keep as many of the features of the old.
Was the stuff here when you?
Well, it's like these steels that we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they would have carried enormous weight. There's no other reason for those steels to be there.
Yeah.
Now all they're carrying is our wooden ceiling with a whole load of insulation above it.
Yeah.
But we deliberately kept all those exposed beams.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot easier actually to put in a suspended ceiling in here.
Yeah.
And put all the lighting.
But you've got all the. I mean, and the lights are beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the lights. So this is the kind of thing you can get, I guess, in the modern world. Is light bulbs that don't need dressing up anymore because they are a feature themselves.
Yeah. And then you've got the barrel lights in the shop.
Yeah, so those were made for us by a local firm called Upcycle Creative. Again, we try to work with as many local people and suppliers as we can. So those barrel lights are Claire's design. Yeah. And those are 3 of the barrels that we bought initially to put whiskey in, and we decided to make lights out of them. Yeah. But Claire took the design to Upcycle Creative, and they said, we can do that. So they've made those barrel lights.
I'm a landslide, I'm waiting to fall. When I was younger, I built a wall. Life starts out simple, I slept safe and sound, till I woke one morning and my wolf So I formed foundations from the rubble and the stone. I made these walls stronger, as strong as I could. And I woke each morning to see that my home still stood. So to understand why I am the man that I've come to be, gotta dig back down through all these fallen walls, back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. I thought I was wiser, so my home's no more. How great this castle where a humbler home before. But the turrets are tumbling, they're crumbling to the ground. What worth my kingdom for a king without a crown? So to understand why I am the man that I've come to be, gotta dig back down through all these fallen walls, back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. Got to get back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. Back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. Got to get back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. Back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. I'm a landslide, I'm waiting to fall, and I still build boundaries, but I build them small. So come the sundown, all I'll be thinking of are the ruins beneath me and the stars above. Got to get back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. Back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me. So to understand why I am the man that I've come to be, gotta dig back down through all these fallen walls, back to when I made the walls and the walls didn't make me.
So if you're local, and we've got local listeners, and we've got people in Germany, Australia, we've got them all over the world because it's the internet.
Yeah.
If they want to buy anything, or if they'd like to visit, where can they get in touch with you? Can they buy online?
Yeah, so good question. So we're just updating our website as we speak.
Yep.
So by the middle of March this year, our new website will be live. And on that website, we're going to have the ability for people to buy certainly gin and some of our other merchandise, the ability for people to book onto our tasting tours.
Yep.
So
and when do the tasting tours run?
Yeah, so the tasting tours, we do them every week.
Yeah.
They're on a Thursday at 3. They're on a Friday. We do 2 on a Friday at 11 and 3. And then we do them on a Saturday morning at 11. The Thursday and Friday ones are, understandably for a lot of people, middle of the working week, but it's also when the distillery is operational.
Yeah.
So the tours, the tour doesn't have to be done whilst the distillery is operational, but it's more interesting whilst the distillery is operational. So that's the reason why we do the midweek tours, is because that's when the stills are running. From the beginning of March, we're also going to be operating on a Saturday, so we're increasing the rate at which we're making whiskey. So in 2 weeks' time, the distillers are going to be here on Saturday making whiskey. So Saturday's tour will also be available whilst we're distilling.
Okay.
So yeah, so every week of the year, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hopefully that will grow over time.
Yeah.
And currently those slots you have to email us to book.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit fiddly, but it's worked okay just to get us up and running.
Okay.
But by middle of March, you'll be able to book online.
Okay. And there's Facebook.
There's Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter.
Yeah. And we just search for
White Peak Distillery.
Yeah.
On all of those channels. I think Twitter is at White Peak Whiskey.
Yeah.
But White Peak Distillery, you'll find our website and all that social media.
It's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's incredible that side of it is just so powerful for you now.
Yeah, that's right. And if people are interested in what we're doing, we don't yet do a regular newsletter, but we've got a mailing list. So even on our current website, there's a sign-up page.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of people that have signed up, and we just let people know when there's interesting events happening or something that we're about to achieve down at the distillery.
Yeah.
So we just keep our sort of email community sort of updated on things that are happening.
Have you won awards for Shining Cliff Gin, or
yeah, we have.
Do you enter awards?
Yeah, we have won awards. So
I keep on tweeting to the British Podcast Awards.
Right.
Every single tweet that goes out at British, just in case I can win a podcast award, which is very, very doubtful. It's very, very doubtful. But we've won awards.
We won awards. So close to home, we won the Derbyshire Food and Drink Award for 2018 from Derbyshire Life.
Fantastic.
So that award is...
and that was for Shining Cliff Gin?
That was for Shining Cliff Gin, and it's for that, our floral style gin with the blue label, which is the one in front of us.
Just coming back to that, is there something in there from around here?
Yeah, there is. So, for example, local Mayflower. So Mayflower is the flower you get on hawthorn.
Oh, right, okay.
Generally, the flowers you see on hawthorn are white.
Yeah.
But there are some that are pink. And it's the pink Mayflower that we forage in season, so for sake of argument, end of July. And we try and pick enough so we can freeze dry a bulk amount and then use it for the whole of the year.
Yeah.
So local Mayflower is one of the things that's unique about our gin. There are actually 13 botanicals in here. Obviously including juniper.
So you have to use juniper for it to be a gin?
Yeah, you do. So if it hasn't got juniper in, then it isn't gin.
Yeah.
It's probably into like a flavoured vodka category.
Okay. Yeah, because the base product is either go one way vodka, one way gin. Pretty in layman's terms.
I mean, a lot of people think of gin as being vodka that's been flavoured with juniper. Mm-hmm. And there's some truth in that. It's not quite correct, because we don't. Very few people go and buy vodka and make gin with it. You just buy, a raw ethanol project.
I've got to tell you this though. We went to a marina going out towards Burton-on-Trent.
Oh yeah.
And there was a guy who got a longboat, and it was the brew boat. I think it was called
the
brew boat. And this guy said he was selling plastic pouches, and it got whiskey written on it. And it was get a bottle of vodka from a cheap store, cheap supermarket. Add this in, and he says you'll never know the difference.
Oh, really?
We never tried it. It did go out of date before, but we did buy it.
Right.
But we were on a boat, and I thought it might throw me in if I didn't. But
yeah. There's some things you can't shortcut in life.
You really are.
I think that's one of them.
One of them's whiskey.
Yeah.
But you do Shining Cliff. Have you got any other? Are there other gins that you?
Yeah, so we do 4 different styles. So this is our floral style, which is what we got that award from Derbyshire Life for. We do a citrus style. So the citrus gin has got 10 botanicals, but 5 of the 10 are citrus. So it's got lemon peel, orange peel, lime tree leaves, something called lemon verbena and lemon thyme.
Lemon verbena,
So 5 of the 10 are citrus botanicals, so that has more of a citrus note.
Okay.
We also do a spiced gin. It's got cardamom, marjoram, meadow sweet, and fresh grapefruit in it. And then finally, you can see over there, we've got a gin that looks pink.
Yeah.
And that's called our Bakewell Pud gin.
Bakewell Pud.
Yeah. So there's a gin drinker out there that likes a slightly sweeter and, let's say, flavoured gin. That is still it's still a gin, so it's not a liqueur. All the taste comes from that distillation process. It's still 45%, like all our other gins, but that's got English cherry, almond, strawberry, and raspberry. So those are the.
So it's not really it's got flavours in it that would.
Yeah.
You'd think it was a Bakewell.
Yeah, so it's not like drinking Bakewell tar.
It's not got distilled Mr. Kipling's in it or anything like that.
No,
but it's got the flavour.
It's a sort of it's an homage to the Bakewell Pud.
Yeah.
Bakewell's 13 miles up the road from us.
Yeah.
So we decided if we are going to do a sort of more of a flavoured gin or a sweeter gin, let's do something that's still got roots in Derbyshire. So we went with the.
You haven't done chips from Matlock Bath yet, so you need a chip gin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so
heavy on the salt vinegar.
The one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I like gin. I don't. Strange enough, I don't drink a lot of anything, but I do like gin. It was the flavour pairings. Everybody's talking about flavour pairings with certain stouts, a bit of chocolate or something like that. I've never found anything to have with gin because it's got a flavour to it that is botanical, herby, and if you have something sweet, it doesn't seem to be right. If you have something cheese or crisps or whatever, it just doesn't. I've never found something. So on the spot, what if I'm just having not a standard gin, but I'm having Shining Cliff with a straight tonic or a kind of a flavoured tonic?
No, well, we just tend to recommend that you use a decent quality premium Indian tonic.
Yeah.
If you like tonic, some people don't like tonic, and then I guess you've had to discover what other mixer you're going to have with your gin. But so we just recommend a decent quality standard, and that it allows, and it can be the light or the low calorie version, if you prefer that kind of thing, and that just allows our gin to come to the fore. The other thing that's important for us, at least as a producer, is that you don't drown it out with tonic. So if you look at Fever Tree's branding, their branding is one of the things they include is if 3/4 of your gin and tonic is tonic, then make sure it's a good tonic. So what they're suggesting there is that you should have 3 parts tonic to 1 part gin.
They're selling tonic.
Yeah. What we do in our tastings is we have it closer to 2 to 1.
Okay.
On the downside, that doesn't make for a very long drink, but it does mean that you get the full flavour of the gin.
Yeah.
So, I would always say to people, look, take the bottle of tonic that the barman gives you and put your own measure in, because if you take a bottle of tonic, there's 200 millilitres of tonic there, and you put it in with a single gin, you're going to have 8 parts tonic to 1 part gin, and that's before you add half a bucket of ice, which tends to. So you can end up with something which is nice and long and cold and refreshing, but you're barely going to tell the difference from one gin to another if you've added
2 to 1.
2 to 1 if you're really interested in tasting in the flavour. If I'm making it at home and I just want to drink a gin and tonic, then I might go up to 3 to 1.
Yeah.
But I generally wouldn't go above that.
Yeah.
But that's because obviously I'm in the business of making gin, so I don't want to taste loads of tonic.
And so it's got cardamom,
So I know our spice gin has got cardamom and marjoram. The floral gin has got 13 botanicals. It's got woodland berries.
Yeah.
So we wanted something that reflected where we are in Shining Cliff Woods.
Yeah.
So it's got elderberry, bilberry, rosehip.
Okay.
It's got the local mayflower that we've spoken about. It's got angelica root, which is kind of earthy and woody.
Yeah.
It's got licorice root, which again has got earthy woodiness to it, but also a bit of licorice. It's got bay leaf. It's got English coriander.
So what do I eat with that?
Well, I'm going to
Pringles.
I'm going to sidestep that. We are working with a local restaurant to try and come up with some food pairings. So rather than lift the lid on it now,
Stick it out there, Ron.
We'll save that for the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you, I've never come across any particular good recommendations about pairings
with whiskey. Chocolate.
Yeah, dark chocolate works.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But again, it's a sweet thing.
Yeah.
Whiskey, I would never imagine, you can't have crisps or anything acidic, I don't think. It has to be something smooth, and chocolate just hits it bang on the...
Yeah, chocolate does work.
Yeah.
We actually work with a local chocolatier in Belper.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 chocolates or 3 styles of chocolate that have been made with our spirits.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a white chocolate made with this gin.
Yeah.
We've got a dark chocolate that's using our new make whiskey spirit, so unaged spirit, but we supply little amounts to the chocolatier. And the great thing about unaged spirit is it's got a lot of sort of strength of character. And when dark chocolate's quite strong in itself, so there's a danger that you can add alcohol to dark chocolate and you can hardly taste the alcohol because the dark chocolate's so dominant, whereas new make whiskey spirit works really well. So we've got some dark chocolates with our new make, they're lovely. we're planning a run. I'm just dropping this into the conversation, but we're planning a run for 2019. So, and we've already done some test batches. So we've got a milk chocolate that's available with our rum in it. So you can't.
Oh, I thought you said run for a minute. I nearly fainted thinking he's going to ask me to do a 10k or something. You have to be careful with words like that with me. Right. Exercise and stuff. So a rum.
Yeah, so we've got a rum in the pipeline, and although you can't buy it from us at the moment, and you won't be able to for many months, you can buy some chocolates with our rum in it.
Fabulous.
So there's a pairing that works.
Just really quickly, is rum as quick as gin to kind of produce? And is it
no, so rum's much similar to whiskey.
Oh, right, okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be... Well, if you've ever had a dark rum, the reason it's dark, unless people have added artificial colourings, which is frowned upon, but it does happen, the reason that darkness comes from the cask. So the difference between a white rum, like Bacardi, and a dark rum is the time it's spent in cask. Okay. So rum is also a spirit that gets aged in cask. And you get different grades. So you get white rum is unaged, so that's straight from the still. Then you get an amber rum, which might have been aged for 2 years, and then a dark rum could be 5, 6, 7 years.
Okay.
So rum is quite similar to whiskey in that regard. We are going to make the base alcohol with a form of sugarcane. Go through a fermentation process as we do with the whiskey, and then age it.
Fantastic.
But we are hoping that we're going to do a kind of a bit of a variety, a bit of a crossover between gin and rum. So use 1 or 2 botanicals in the rum, so that we have a white rum that doesn't have to be aged, that still tastes like you'd want to drink it, on its own, not drowned out with Coke.
You need to tell me. I'll post out, but you've got the Temperance Club as well.
Yeah, we have.
I'll post that out, and but that's a club that you can join for whiskies of the future.
Yeah, it's basically we've got 2 memberships. But I'll tell you about the primary. The primary one's a 10-year membership. And you basically join today, and you then get we're going to do some limited edition bottlings only for Temperance Club members. The first bottling will be this September. So what you're going to get this September is a bottle of 12-month aged single malt spirit. We can't call it whiskey because it's not old enough yet. 2020 you'll get one that's 2-year aged. 2021 you'll get our first 3-year malt. Okay. And then you get a bottle every year through to our 10-year malt. So you're going to get 10 bottlings. We do a membership card which gives you 5% discount online or at the shop for anything that we ever sell for 10 years. You get a little certificate that I sign that says you're a Temperance Club member.
Fantastic.
And then you also get your name engraved on a brick on the wall in our still house. So we've got a wall that's going up there. So we had 16 bricks arrive yesterday that I've got to put up tomorrow.
And it's YouTube bricklaying.
Well, actually, luckily we had a tiler come and do the bottom rows for me.
Fantastic.
So now when you're building on top, it's dead easy. The foundation's there.
It'll be easy. I'll remember that.
But so we've got this wall, so it's going to be a permanent memorial to people that supported us early on. And once it's full, and we'll kind of cut the membership off at that point.
And this is all available on the website, all available through Facebook.
It is, it is. Exactly right.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you.
Really appreciate
Thanks for your interest.
Words that flow across my mind.
Thanks for Max and the team down at White Peak Distillery, Derbyshire's only distillery. You can contact them on whitepeakdistillery.co.uk. You can contact me on @Casimir Podcast on Twitter.
The Casimir engine, reliably mediocre.